Good morning, I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they are here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. So how do we know we are providing our children the best options for education? Even if those options are apparent, how do parents overcome the obstacles? The Institute for Better Education has some answers. IBE is an Arizona Certified School Tuition Organization, an STO and 501c3 nonprofit and nonpartisan organization committed to removing any financial obstacles that stand in a family's way of providing K-12 education for their children and their unique needs. IBE accomplishes this through the Arizona Private School Tax Credit Program. They believe parents are the best resource a child has when determining which school will be perfect for their child. What's going to be a perfect fit? Parents have been able to turn to the Institute for Better Education since 1998 if the right school to fit their child's need is not within their financial reach. Today, I'm fortunate enough to speak with Kimberly J. Kirshner, Executive Director of Institute for Better Education. Kimberly, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thank you so much for having me, Frank.
Did I pronounce your name correctly?
You did a great job.
All
Thank
right.
you.
That's because good education.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what it takes. So I've given a small synopsis. Can you tell me what IBE does?
Absolutely. So IBE, or the Institute for Better Education, is one of those tax credit organizations that accepts donations from Arizona taxpayers, and they in return receive a dollar-for-dollar credit to apply against their Arizona state liability for any given tax year. Then we turn those donations into scholarships for children to attend the school that truly best fits their educational needs.
So what you're really saying is that this doesn't cost a person anything to just help children out.
Exactly. If you think about it, since COVID, have we had a lot of control over anything in our lives? And here we are saying you have control over your Arizona state taxes. You can say, I would like my state taxes to help even this specific child, this specific private school, or if you're not sure who to give to, but you know you want to help children with a low income, give to IBE's general fund. And we, again, will give you a dollar-for-dollar credit, just like writing a check or giving a credit card to the Arizona Department of Revenue.
Look at that. See now, because again, taxes, that just scares me. That word scares a lot of people away. And we always think that we know how that works. We think that we understand it, but I don't think a lot of people follow through. And you make it sound that simple. I think a lot of people think there's a lot of hoops to jump through. This doesn't sound like there's a lot of hoops.
There really isn't. A lot of times, I would say the most often question I receive is, well, how much do I know? How much can I give? What's the amount I can give? And I can tell them in one simple way. You look at your Arizona Form 140, the one you're about ready to file. You look at your line 48, that's your liability. That is exactly how much you can receive tax credits for. There are 5 different tax credit programs in Arizona. IBE, or the Arizona Private School Tax Credit, is the largest out of all 5. And if your liability can support the maximum donations for any or each of these organizations or these kinds of credits, do it. It's giving you, again, that control to help vulnerable populations of children and people with your taxes.
It's so incredible. You say you can individualize it. Like you can really make it that personal where you want to give to a specific child?
Exactly. Now, the law says that you can make a recommendation only. We are not allowed to make any kind of guarantees, which is absolutely fine. But the law also allows an STO or IBE to honor those recommendations. So if a grandparent calls us up and says, I'd like to do my tax credit donation, my liability is X, I'd like to give this amount, and it has to go to my grandchild, we won't even take the donation. But if she said, I would like to recommend my grandchild, our scholarship committee is totally able to make that happen.
See that? Use that clever wording. You're getting all the secrets here. It's like a cheat code. It's like a cheat code in a game. Because I'll tell you, sometimes, again, tax is scary. It feels like a game. All these rules, all these regulations, but you're spelling it out really easy. But some of us might not be writing this down like I am because I'm keeping notes. Where might people find some of this information online? I'm sure you've made it very easy to read and find.
Truly. You go to our website at ibescholarships.org. We have a lot of great information there. Give us a call. We're one of those organizations that actually answers our phone, and we're happy to spend 20 minutes on the phone if you need those kinds of questions answered, whether you're a donor or you are somebody who'd like to receive tax credits. Our phone number is 520-512-5438. And quite frankly, we love to see people. We're up at Speedway and Swan here in Tucson.
I'm going to tell you something right now. You're really good at this. Let's catch our breath, right? Because we just did give a whole bunch of information out there. Really a good time. I mean, I'm already like, all right, there you go, everybody. This was Lifestyle Tucson. We covered it. That's so incredible. What are you guys focused on like this year now specifically?
So if you're going to ask about this year specifically, I'll be honest with you, since I've been director, and this is my 6th year as director, and I've been with IBE for 10 years, over 10 years, things change. I mean, because tax credits, and especially anything that has to do with a school choice option, funding option, it changes year to year depending on, quite frankly, some politics going on. So we are always looking at a new year, something happening. Tax credits are alive and well. IBE has been working, goodness, we've been around for the 25 years, and we work with over 320 schools in Arizona. I get to travel all over the state, making sure everybody knows about this program. So every year is a little bit unique, and right now we're focusing truly on individual donations because this is tax time. I would say 60% of our donations come in from January 1st to tax day, which is April 18th this year, with 25% of them coming in just those first 2 weeks of April, which last year looked like $7 million came in just those 2 weeks. So we're gearing up. We're making sure people are bringing in those donations because at the same time, we're already accepting applications for the 23-24 school year. So applicants are applying. People are donating. It's hopping at IBE.
Time is money. And when's the last day people can donate? We don't want to miss those deadlines. You already got new applications open. So when are the deadlines? We want to make sure no one misses a thing.
Great question. So for the 2022 tax year, and I know we're in 2023, but you have until April 18th of 2023 to make a 2022 tax credit donation. And it has to be made by that date or before you file your taxes. So if people say, well, I'm filing an extension, so I've got some extra time, they do not, because an extension only allows you to file your taxes a little bit late, doesn't allow you to pay them. And we truly are just like paying your Arizona state taxes. So quite often people will sit there and say, all right, they'll get out their tax credit or their tax program. They're going to start doing their taxes. They do their taxes as if they haven't made a tax credit donation. They figure out what that all-important liability is, or line number 48, and they say, oh, it says $1,200, and they're a married couple filing jointly. Well, then they go to IBE's website. They make their donation through our donation portal. Super simple, even at 11 o'clock at night, whenever you would like to do it. Then they go back to their taxes, plug in that number, and they're finished, and they know they've made a true difference with their state tax liability.
Well, that's, again, very simple if you're writing stuff down, but that's why, again, it's a podcast. Just hit rewind and make sure you got a number 2 pencil out. Take notes. I'm not having a test at the end of the thing, but it looks like there's a deadline for you, so we're all going to be tested. Don't miss it, because there's a lot of opportunities to help kids out. It doesn't cost you a dime, and it really is that simple. How does a family apply for tax credit scholarships?
Also simple. We have found through IBE, whether we're talking about donors, applicants, or the schools we work with, we have very intuitive portals through our website. So when an applicant wants to apply, they register once. They can register as an applicant and or a donor. One username, one password, makes it very simple. And then once they're registered, the particular tabs, whether they're looking to donate or to apply, will open up. They hit the applicant portal, then all of a sudden they have their application available for them to apply through the website. They have questions, again, please call us. We love those phone calls. Not only do we answer, we want to make sure this information gets out and gets out correctly. So please call us if you have any kind of issues, or just give us a call. And again, if you're in Tucson, stop by and see us, because we'll walk you through the process right there in person.
Yeah, simple. Follow through. Again, some of these things that I hear about as I become an adult, I guess, it is that simple, but you think it's so difficult, and it is a little bit of a walkthrough that you do need. And some of us just need that guidance, a mentor. It helps us with big things, but sometimes you just need a little guidance when you're going downtown and trying to register your small business as an LLC or something. It's very difficult to do some of these things because they are very intimidating. But inviting people in and inviting people down to where you are doing this live and saying that you're going to spend time with them, everybody take advantage of that, because that is what's really important. Is it's a human connection, and getting face-to-face information is what's going to help you retain it, help you understand it, and help you actually follow through with it, which is important. A lot of people, I think, get through some of these steps and then they lose momentum.
I could not agree with you more. In fact, I do in-person school trainings for parents throughout the state. I've probably done 90 of them this school year already throughout the state. I love the in-person. I will say that COVID has taught us that sometimes people aren't able to get to things in person for whatever reason. So at least once and quite often twice a month, I do webinars as well that go through what I call Tax Credit 101 from A to Z. It's the life of a tax credit from donation to scholarship. Because you're right, it is simple to donate and it's simple to receive the scholarships. But by the same token, if you want to understand all the nuances of what this entails, you kind of need to have a webinar or have an ability to ask a lot of questions, because we want people to be fully informed donors. And this is not a budget line item. This is your tax payment. It doesn't cost you anything. So understanding how that works, I would love to help with that.
When is your next webinar?
So we do our webinars at least once a month, twice a month if we can. April, we should have one for sure, maybe two, because it is tax time. And this is where I want to make sure all of my applicants are ready to talk to people, to have them recommend their children for their state tax credits for 2022. So we want to get the word out. Our webinars have hundreds and hundreds of registrants. We've had 1,700 registered before to listen to them because they are statewide.
That's incredible. And if you've never taken a webinar, I know that my crowd skews a little older. You got to dive into some of this new technology and some of the things that COVID did advance the world as far as like, let's be more like the Jetsons. Zoom is now a part of everyone's lives more than anything. And then, Microsoft Teams and other programs have caught up. So some people just, cringe at the word Zoom. But being able to do these virtual meetings and go to webinars, it really is time to, maybe spend some money on some of these things that are worth it that you might not have done before. Sometimes apps help, programs help. You're not used to doing that. It's time to spend money in a different way. How much do these webinars cost?
Oh, absolutely nothing.
Oh, well, then never mind what I just said.
No.
They're free.
No, we make sure it doesn't cost anything. And in fact, for people who register, I send them the links to make sure they have them forever. So again, my job is to make sure I'm educating Arizona on tax credits, making sure Arizona understands the options available for them as taxpayers, and then, of course, for families for school choice options for their child.
When it comes to some of these When it comes to this, what's the difference between universal ESA funding and tax credit scholarships?
Great question. Those are two different funding sources for school. So we've been around for 25 years, and we are not our tax credit donations never go to a government agency. They go right to IBE or to an STO like myself, and then it goes right to a private school. Universal ESA as a whole has been around for 11 years, but it's a government program. It's from the Arizona Department of Education. The funds that are utilized for ESA has been typically it's 90% of whatever funds a child would have received at a public school education, state funds. All right. So that's been around for 11 years, but primarily it was for children with special needs, children in failing public schools, military families, and children on the Indian reservation. Just last year, Governor Ducey signed into law something that's called Universal ESA, and he opened this program up to all Arizona students. So that opened it up to 1.1 million children.
Wow.
Prior to that, 11,000 children were enrolled. Now, because of this new program, it's close to 47,000 children are enrolled in this. The issue with ESA for a family listening, it could like, oh, that sounds a lot easier than tax credits. Two things. One, ESA is a government program, so it's all dependent upon who's in office, things like that. It could come and go as they wish. Also, it is a finite amount of money. So if a child doesn't have any special needs, right now the funding is about $7,000 per year. So if a family receives ESA, and their tuition is $10,000, they've got to make up the difference. They cannot use my money or tax credits. So we are not, we have no finite amount. You can get your full tuition paid. It's not a government agency, but it's not a guaranteed amount. It's something you have to apply for. You have to potentially get donors for. I'm not going to say it's difficult. It's actually, we have so many kids fully funded, but ESA is limited. So that's kind of the difference between the two. One is government and limited, and one is not government and you can fully fund.
So you tell me right now that you have a bunch of tell me a success story. Like if you've got one off the top of your head, tell me like a specific success story that just kind of sticks out in your mind of like a family you helped just because they really didn't know about any of this. And then, hey, I somehow just got you thousands of dollars for free that they didn't have budgeted. They didn't know.
You asked for one specific story, but I've got hundreds running through my head because so many children and so many families let us know if it were not for tax credits. My children cannot attend the school they are at, and they feel safe at their school. They're happy at their school. They love learning at their school. We have so many families with children, let's say with autism, who all of a sudden are saying, my child is thriving for the first time, and I could never have afforded $25,000 a year. But because of tax credits, my child is exactly where they need to be. And right now, if you're thinking about education, you want your kids to feel safe. You want them to love it. You want them to come home talking about what they're learning. That's what private school tax credits can allow. There is not a bad choice for school for a certain student. But when you're looking for the best choice, if there's a tuition attached to it, I want to help pay for it.
That's incredible. I mean, that's just such good work. Like, that's what life really is all about. It's about helping people, especially people in need, people with a handout. And ignorance is not bliss, obviously. Helping people just get educated about what's available to them for nothing. Okay? That's what we're doing here. We're telling everyone here how you can use your taxes to help children and families. It costs you nothing. You just don't understand how to do it. So please listen to how to do it, because it sounds so simple and you're making it so simple. Thanks again for explaining how all this is working.
Oh, absolutely. I truly love what I do. I go to work every day saying, what do I get to do today? And to make sure Arizona understands about this opportunity, and especially when you look at 25 years it's been around, less than 5% of taxpayers take advantage of it.
That's insane.
Right?
That's
and
insane.
So people need to understand you're not going to get audited. It's not too good to be true. It truly is 100% say how your tax dollars are spent, your state tax dollars. So please get a hold of us. Let us know how we can help you understand it, whether, again, it's from the donation side or the applicant side.
I mean, can you hear Kimberly smile here through the radio? That's what I get told about. You can hear your smile. You should see her. She's beaming. Now, we're talking a lot about families and kids. Let's talk about businesses. Can Arizona small businesses also receive dollar-for-dollar tax credits?
Truly they can. Since 2006, the Arizona legislature allowed Arizona-eligible businesses to make a dollar-for-dollar tax credit donation as well. The businesses that are able to donate would be Arizona C corporations, S corporations, LLCs with an S election, and Arizona insurance companies that file premium taxes here. Those are the types of businesses that can receive this dollar-for-dollar tax credit, but they don't have a limit. Whereas an individual, for a married couple, $2,483 is the most they can donate depending on their liability. Arizona business, not so. We've gotten a $1 million donation to IBE because that's what that business's state liability was. Especially if they're an S Corp or that LLC with an S election, there's even some wonderful advantages of reducing your taxable income. So this could be a tax-saving tool for an S Corp or an LLC. C Corps, it's your payment. It's your state tax liability. S Corps don't pay taxes at the entity level. So their shareholder gets to claim the benefit, claim the credit. So businesses, truly, if you have any desire to make sure you're helping children, and there's a couple of categories that they can help. Low-income families, children with special needs, or children that have ever been in the Arizona foster care system. Please get a hold of us because those are vulnerable populations of children that need your help, and it doesn't cost you anything, but you know your state tax dollars made a difference in children's lives.
Incredible. Again, so simple. It's so easy to help out. A little bit of networking goes a long way. And if you are a listener that has a friend that has a small business, if you're a listener that has grandkids or children that are doing this sort of thing, that this might apply to them, let them know. Let them know what we're talking about here today, because word of mouth is everybody's best friend. But some people don't think that their opinion matters when it comes to saying, oh, I heard this. I heard about this thing and I thought of you. Because I know that when I talk about, small businesses, right? Listeners know that they have a friend that has a small business. I want that to trigger you to see if you can help your friend out, because your friend will then get a tax credit. Your friend will then be able to pass some of that forward and might really find a good reason for what they're going to do with their small business, because that's how you grow. It's how you grow, by meeting people, and that's a good way to meet people.
Absolutely. But I will say, I'll clarify one thing. It could be big businesses too. C corporations, some of our bigger businesses, like, I'll be quite frankly, Geico gives over $9 million a year to this program.
That's amazing.
They are making talk about a difference. They are helping a lot of families achieve that kind of an education. So truly, Anybody who has a business like that or knows someone, again, and we're not asking for handouts here. We're a tax credit organization. We're offering an opportunity to our donors to have that kind of say and make a difference for those kids.
I know the Gecko listens. He loves the radio. It's true. He's always in his car. So what does the donation process look like for a corporate donor?
So if a corporate donor would like to make a donation, they get a hold of IBE. We have a one-page corporate application. Very simple. They are not allowed to recommend specific students, but they can recommend specific private school or schools or our general fund for those populations of children. And then we turn it in to the Department of Revenue. And within usually a week, we get the approval, because there is a statewide cap. Right now, the statewide cap for the 22-23 year, which we're in right now, was almost $143 million. There's only about $1 million left of that. Then July 1st, it opens up again, and it starts over with even more funds available. So right now, if you'd like to make a 2023 tax credit donation for your business, get a hold of us. The only caveat is after it's approved, you've only got 20 days to fund it. And then we take those funds, and you're good to go with your tax credits and your state taxes for that year. And we're helping a lot of kids.
I love it. Invite them down to your address again. Let's get that phone number again, and let's find out where they can find you on social media and online as well, because everybody needs this information. And again, think about it. Think about what you're going to do, and maybe take a moment. I'm giving them time to get pencils. Okay, go.
Absolutely. So we are here in Tucson at 921 North Swan Road. That's up at Speedway and Swan area. Phone number is 520-512-5438. Our website is IBEscholarships.org, and you can certainly find us on Facebook. We have a lot of social media advertising on Facebook, and people like to share our Facebook posts, personalize them, and make sure people know that they're accepting tax credits.
That's a huge deal. Lastly, if there's just one last thing you want everyone to know for sure, and make sure, because I might not have asked you everything, because some of this stuff is intimidating to me even as I talk to you, but you do make it sound very simple. So I just want you to say any last thoughts that are just on your mind, because we still have a minute or two, and I don't want to waste a beat.
Thank you for that. I would say when you're thinking about your state taxes and the good that you can do, remember putting children first in their education is what truly can make a difference, not just for the child, but for our community. Any child that is educated in the best way possible for them will not only thrive, but as a community member, they're going to be able to show Tucson what they can do, and it's going to benefit us all.
I love it so much. Thank you for joining me here today, Kimberly. We just made friends with Kimberly J. Kirshner, Executive Director of Institute for Better Education. If you want to help kids and it doesn't cost you a dime, learn how to do your tax a little better, and maybe go make a friend because she invited you right to the front door, give her a call. Use that phone number. I'll give it to you in a minute on the recap. But we made friends with Kimberly J. Kirshner, Executive Director of the Institute for Better Education. Thank you for joining me today, Kimberly.
Thank you so much for having me, Frank.
This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing, bong, bing. Time for a recap, and boy, do we need it. That was a lot of great information, and certainly a lot of stuff you might want to write down. So I took the liberty of it. So you can rewind this thing, maybe listen again, but now I got stuff for you right now. Firstly, take a webinar. Just good advice. Always get some education whenever you can, and doing it from home is a good way to do it over Zoom. So it's a good way to educate yourself and get up to date on stuff. And don't forget that you can do a dollar-for-dollar tax credit, and it's like giving free money to children. And remember what she said, it was to recommend a child. That's right, and then they will be strongly considered. That's the cheat code for getting a tax credit for perhaps a grandkid or a niece, perhaps your own kids. So check that out. You've also got to fill out Arizona Form 140, line 48. That's your liability and how much you can receive a tax credit for. So there's that information. The information about the Institute for Better Education is IBEscholarships.org. They're located at 921 North Swan Road, and their phone number is 520-512-5438. They invited you down there. Go take some time. They'll talk to you for 20 minutes. I mean, goodness, if you got the time to kill, you might as well go do it, and you'll be saving child's lives, because that was one of the most, informational, educational things I've had as far as interviews are concerned. I mean, really, Kimberly did such a great job, and you really did hear her smile. She was so professional when I was getting things set up. It was really fun because I could tell it's like, you already know what you're doing. I was trying to give her the rundown of how it works. She knows what she's doing. She's a pro. It's great. And again, I really learned a lot, and I should know more. My dad is an accountant, but in my defense, I always thought that he was driving a taxi. That's what we called it when we were growing up. He's going to do taxis. and that's what it was. So, I'm an art kid. What can you do? But I want to thank our new friends at the Institute for Better Education for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. For more information about our program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes and wherever fine podcasts are taught. I'm your BFF, Frank Powers. Toot Toot Tucson. I love you the most.